Hey guys, we're here today to learn how to multiply whole numbers and fractions, so thanks for joining me. Before we get started, it would be helpful if you had a pencil, some scratch paper, an eraser, and a partner to help you during partner talk. Don't forget, you can always pause the video and go back to parts of the video that you want to review, and if you don't have a partner, you can write your answers down or just tell yourself. So let's get started. Do you know how you can write a whole number as a fraction? You can pause to write down some ideas or talk to someone who's with you, or you can keep the video playing. When you want to write a whole number as a fraction, all you have to do is make the denominator a 1. This skill will be important today as we go to our learning objective, which is learning how to multiply whole numbers and fractions. Before we get started, I'd like for you to do a little self-assessment and decide how you feel about this learning objective. What is your level of understanding with learning how to multiply whole numbers and fractions? I'd like to review a few things before we get started. We can use bar diagrams to find parts of numbers. We can also multiply a whole number by a fraction using repeated addition. And we've used models to show multiplication of whole numbers and fractions. I'd also like to review how we can change an improper fraction into a mixed number. So if we have 12 fourths, we ask ourselves, how many times can 4 go into 12? Well, 4 times 3 is 12. So this, as a reduced fraction, would just be 3. There's nothing left over because 4 times 3 is 12. If I want to simplify 16 fifths, I ask myself, how many times can 5 go into 16? It can go 3 times because 5 times 3 is 15. Since I didn't make it all the way up to 16, I subtract 16 minus 15, which is 1, and I have the same denominator. So 16 fifths as a simplified fraction would be 3 and 1 fifth. Just a quick review because we will be simplifying fractions that way in today's lesson. Oh, let me erase that. Okay, our big idea for today is to understand that when we're multiplying a whole number by a fraction, we'll need to write the whole number as a fraction. Then we'll just multiply the numerators and then multiply the denominators. Our success criteria for today, it just keeps building as we continue to expand on our learning. We can already use bar diagrams to model fractions. We can represent fractions in models. We can interpret fractions as division. We can use a bar diagram to find a part of a number, and we can also use models to multiply whole numbers and fractions. So these skills that we've already learned will help us in today's lesson. So let's get started. 24 times 1/6. The first thing I want to do is make 24 into a fraction by making it have a denominator of 1. Once I've done that, I can multiply the numerator straight across. 24 times 1 is 24. Then I can multiply the denominators straight across. 1 times 6 is 6. I have an improper fraction that I need to simplify, so I ask myself, how many times can 6 go into 24? Well, it can actually go in evenly, 4 times. So my answer is 4. Our steps for today's lesson is to write the whole number as a fraction, multiply the numerators, multiply the denominators, and then simplify as needed. Let me show you one more example. I'm going to make the 2 a fraction, so I have 2 over 1. I multiply across. 2 times 4 is 8. 1 times 5 is 5. I need to simplify, so I ask myself, how many times can 5 go into 8? 5 can go into 8 one time. 5 times 1 is 5, but I have 3 left over. So my answer is 1 3 fifths. If I want to check my answer, my simplification, I can multiply 1 times 5, which is 5, 5 plus 3, which is 8, and I keep the same denominator. All right, if you need to pause and review the steps, you can go ahead. You can pause and try this on your own, or you can go ahead and do it along with me. So we're going to make this a fraction, 12 over 1. I multiply across my numerators. 12 times 1 is 12. Multiply my denominators. 1 times 3 is 3. How many times can 3 go into 12? 4 times. All right, let's move on to our partner talk. So, how did we solve? How can we understand and explain this? I would say I found the answer by making the whole number a fraction and multiplying the numerators and then multiplying the denominators. Let's try this one. I'm going to make 14 a fraction. 2 times 14 is 28. 3 times 1 is 3. How many times can 3 go into 28? Well, 3 times 7 is 21. 3 times 8 is 24. 3 times 9 is 27. 28 minus 27 is 1. And I keep the same denominator. So my answer is 9 and 1/3. Let's go into our partner talk. I would say I understand this because I changed the whole number to a fraction and I multiplied across, and I was able to get my answer, which I then simplified. I might also want to add in that I can understand this because I know I can make a model too to show the numbers. All right, let's try this one. I'm going to make the whole number a fraction. Multiply across. 13 times 2 is 26. 1 times 3 is 3. How many times can 3 go into 26? Well, 3 times 8 is 24. 3 times 9 is 27, so I know I can't use that one. 3 times 8 is 24. 26 minus 24 is 2, and I keep the same denominator. So my answer is 8 and 2/3. We'll use some partner talk or turn and talk strategies here. I might say I can make a parallel connection to multiplying with models because it helps me understand the equation. Let's try this word problem. Maria ate 1/4 of pizza. If there were 20 slices of pizza, how many slices did Maria eat? Well, I know she had 1/4 of pizza. There were 20 slices. How many slices did she eat? My action words here, how many? And I think another action word could be 8. So I'm going to multiply 20 times 1/4 since she had 1/4 of the pizza. I'm going to make the 20 a fraction, and I'm going to multiply across, which gives me 20/4. And when I simplify that, I ask myself, how many times can 4 go into 20? Well, 4 times 5 is 20. So how many slices did she have? 5. And for my turn and talk, I might say it's important to know this skill because I can use it in real world life when I'm trying to figure out fractions of or a part of a whole. What was our learning objective for today's lesson? We were learning how to multiply whole numbers and fractions. Where are you now in your level of understanding? 4, 3, 2, or 1? Now, I want you to take a look at this problem. Was it solved correctly? Go ahead and pause and take a moment to solve and explain your thinking. You may even write down what you were thinking, or if you're with somebody, you can turn and talk to them too. If I were to solve this problem, I'd first have to make the whole number a fraction, and I'd multiply across and have 11 times 2, which is 22, and then 1 times 3, which is 3. When I simplify it, 3 times 7 is 21, and give me 1 left over. So they obviously got the wrong answer, and I think what they did wrong is instead of making this a fraction as 11, the whole number, the correct fraction with 11 over 1, they made it as 11 over 11 and got 22 over 33, which is incorrect because this 11 over 11 is equal to 1 whole instead of 11. Can all whole numbers be written as fractions? Go ahead and pause and think about this for a moment, and then when you're ready, you can come back and play the video. The answer is yes, all whole numbers can be written as fractions by making the denominator a 1. Remember, fraction is division, and if you were to divide by 1, it would still be the same number. Thank you so much for following along and learning how to multiply whole numbers and fractions. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more direct instruction lessons.